So when you look at the CIO versus the CFO role together, both of them are worried about compliance to systems, compliance to regulations. It's about data management. It's also about security and compliance for audit purposes, but also for data security and data cleanliness considerations. In the world of AI, everything runs off the quality of the data. And to the ability to control that and understand where that comes from and protect that is massive when it comes to the role of the CIO and CFO. In that realm, the ability, though, to improve data management and decision-making with better forecasting, analysis, and reporting tools is a huge opportunity for AI, whether it's generative AI or traditional AI and machine learning. This is one of those areas where the combined application of generative AI on top of good, clean data that you have can have massive benefits and massive force factor improvement for retailers when they have their knowledge workers working. So you can manage more systems. One person can manage more stores. The reporting can be automated that comes through there. Your analytics are better. You can leverage predictive analytics and run scenarios of what might happen as a result of that. All of those improve the capacity and the capabilities of the organization in every function. And operational efficiency is the name of the game for this role. How do we optimize all the different things that are happening? That automation of routine tasks. How do I clean data faster? How do I get it into our systems faster? How do I use that in real time in our operations so that we can make better decisions and thus ultimately improve the customer experience? And then finally, how do we make sure that we stay compliant with all our internal rules relating to data, but also our external rules? When you look at the CFO in particular, they're the ones that sign the financial statements, and they're the ones that go to jail if they're convicted of fraud. Those are big concerns in the area of AI, particularly when it's generative AI that is introduced into the consideration, because generative AI by its nature is create new. That doesn't fit well with the CFO. They want the real and accurate data. They can't stand anything that's a hallucination. So as you deploy AI in this environment, the real benefits come when it's on your clean, tagged, and abundant data that is accurate. And when you have that, then you can add safely generative AI on top of that data in a secure way.
Yeah, so when you think about the big unlock, it's the frontline worker. I mean, that's the employee population that in the retail industry matters the most. And I think these digital assistants and co-pilots and AI are going to further enable the employee to have an experience with the consumer that is top notch. So is that access to information? Perhaps it's information that I just need to know as an employee about my work environment. How do I open or close a quick serve restaurant? And what is the checklist on that? That's going to make me have a better experience as a store manager or a frontline worker, as well as better results. Think of examples where I go into a retail establishment and I need to have advice, and hourly workers with low amounts of training on the front end will have information at their fingertips to assist with that shopping experience. And I think then you take that out of that. And I think the third frontier is where you're going to see the biggest financial impact, which is embedding AI, co-pilot usage into business process and workflow. So I think about next best action. If I'm an hourly employee, I may not have the insights into what is going on either before something happens, say inventory shifts, logistics, freight shipments arriving, any of that sort of thing. I will now be able to see exactly what's happening and what I should do next, even if my manager's not around. That is going to be amazing amounts of cost and productivity gains that'll hit the bottom line for all retailers.
AI, one of the biggest impacts it has initially is it really can help reduce a lot of the menial or routine tasks that are still happening in the retailer space. And ultimately, this will free employees up to spend more time doing more strategic projects. I don't think this will truly drive cost savings. I think cost savings can be a tricky topic. So for example, from a revenue leakage perspective, retailers can leverage AI to ensure that they're maximizing the value of their contracts, because it's common for retailers and suppliers to have incentive clauses included in these contracts that are honestly forgotten about, which is where AI can come in to provide the knowledge and information to ensure that the retailers are maximizing all of their agreements.
AI is driving operational efficiency and cost savings in retail environments by enabling retailers to automate various tasks, optimizing processes, and enhance customer experience. Some specific examples of AI applications in retail are the following. AI-powered chatbots and virtual assistants can provide 24/7 customer service, answering questions, provide recommendations, and handle transactions. AI-based demand forecasting and pricing can analyze data from multiple sources, such as sales history, customer behavior, weather, and events, and adjust prices and promotions accordingly. AI-enabled inventory management and replenishment systems can monitor stock levels, predict demand, and optimize order and delivery. AI-driven fraud detection and prevention can identify and flag suspicious transactions, reduce chargebacks, and enhance security. By using AI, retailers can reduce operational costs, increase revenue, and improve customer satisfaction to finally gain a competitive advantage.
Most of you might be aware of something called as general purpose technologies. These have been inflection points in our history, which have driven massive productivity. Examples of these are electricity, the steam engine, the microcomputer revolution, miniaturization, automation, etc. In many ways, the concept of AI as a general purpose technology is supported by various academic and industry perspectives. I think we're at the tip of the iceberg with AI, but in retail, for operational efficiency and cost savings, we've already seen AI enabling smarter and faster operations, all the way from empowering the store colleagues, enhancing the customer experience, and powering retail real-time supply chain management, just to name a few.
I think in retail, it is such a human-centered business, right? The workforce is our number one asset on the balance sheet. And I think this is where the biggest opportunity for AI is to really unleash the creativity and the efficiency and the power of the workforce to really enhance the retailer's competitive advantage, right? We are human-centered, technology-powered retailer that does something. What is that something? What is that competitive advantage that you're trying to do? Are you saving people money? Are you providing an incredible experience? So the biggest opportunity that AI provides is for you to improve that competitive advantage and automate everything else.
Yeah, so I think generative AI will have a huge impact on workforce management and employee productivity, from the executive down to the retail employee themselves. If we look at the frontline employee, their access to information becomes so much greater. So looking at product information, guiding customers to the products that are best for that individual's customer's need or what they're looking to buy, whether it's comparing products or how a given product addresses a certain need for that end user. Within retail environments, to be more flexible in how they staff their stores or their organizations, bringing more real-time training, real-time content to employees. So if they need to fill a role or staff a department, maybe with somebody who doesn't have the formal training and expertise, they can do that in more real time. They can equip them with more information.
We're seeing a lot of value being driven through AI, but particularly for retailers. Right now, they're seeing great cost optimization savings, particularly in their back office functionality, where they're able to simplify repeatable actions across functions like human resources or regulatory or even buying and merchandising. Those efficiencies and cost savings can be either made to bottom line or redeployed across the organization. Secondly, we're also seeing great data consumption, providing better accuracy and relevant forecasting. This is particularly important for the buying and merchandising functions. But what's really important and what's really quite liberating is the ability to also synthesize and monitor shifting consumer shopping habits and seasonal trends. This is really important for retailers who are looking to really optimize their inventory. Every retailer is looking to make gains, to reduce stock outage, to reduce overstocks, to reduce markdowns, to improve stock turn within their environment. So better forecasting for stock management is really important.
I think about content creation. I think about hyper-personalization. I think about concierge, the shopper assist and operations assist. And when you think about those use case scenarios, I think about also what are the risks that might be involved. So when you think about content creation, there's a lot of data involved. There's a lot of intellectual property involved. And you want to make sure that you mitigate the risk of infringing intellectual property rights, copyrights, and trademark rights. You also want to make sure that you're protecting data, because every time you have hyper-personalization, there's a lot of data involved with generative AI.
Two of the key areas where we see AI really impacting operations is in inventory management and supply chain operations. Here we have huge inefficiencies today that create problems with having on the shelf at the right time what the consumer wants to buy. As a result, we lose close to $1.9 trillion of opportunities and sales as a result of not having in stock the things that they want to buy at the right time. And a lot of that has to do with our inefficiencies in the supply chain and how we manage that inventory. These are huge areas of cost improvement and operational efficiencies. Most of our trucks that are on the road in our cities are less than half full. We do a poor job today in retail. In fact, our losses due to inefficiencies in having on the shelf or having in stock what the consumer wants to buy versus what we actually have in stock amounts to over $1.9 trillion annually worldwide. It's a massive area of inefficiency. And by leveraging AI to improve those, whether it's better routing, better load management, better negotiation, better response and inventory visibility so that you have the right product on the right shelf at the right time, there are major opportunities to add AI into that equation to improve operations.
When you're talking about workforce management, for, let's say, in the stores, they're going to be able to leverage AI to understand predicting the future in terms of what time of day is the busiest time of day based on historical data or weather patterns, and that will allow store managers to be better prepared.
AI has a positive impact on workforce management and employee productivity in retail by augmenting human capabilities, improving efficiency, and creating new opportunities. Data from the latest Work Trend Index report tells us that 64% of employees don't have enough time and energy to do their job and are 3.5 times more likely to struggle with innovation or strategic thinking. At Microsoft, employees have been using Microsoft 365 Copilot for some time, and the preliminary insights are groundbreaking in terms of results on employee experience with high impact increase in productivity and effectiveness. AI can provide employees with real-time insights, guidance, and feedback, such as sales performance, customer insights, and best practices, enhancing their skills and knowledge.
At the very core of the AI revolution is a single tenet: maximizing the value of your data. When your data is democratized, AI is applied in a secure and a consistent way. Then is when the magic starts to happen. This impacts the workforce management and employee productivity in many ways. For example, AI is an enabler and an augmenter. It can empower retail employees by augmenting their skills, automating tedious tasks, and providing insights and guidance. AI can also help retailers in workforce planning, scheduling, training, performance management. All of these, they lead to higher productivity and engagement. AI can also enable retail employees to focus on more value-added and creative activities, such as customer service, merchandising, and just new ways of working.
I don't think it's a secret that high turnover is a real issue in the retail industry. And it's a problem that businesses deal with every single day, to the point that some retailers have given up on solving the problem and accepted it's a part of the business. The three problems that I hear consistently is about how do we reduce managers' bottleneck, customer friction, and how do we give our employees more time back to spend with customers? So back to your point, this is where AI comes into play to help manage high employee turnover and improve employee productivity. So what I mean by this is enabling store associates to get answers to questions in real time, whether this is procedures, product catalogs, product inventory, HR policies. If I had $1 for every time an associate paused and thought to himself, what do I do in this situation? I think we'd all be very wealthy. And this is the power of AI. By providing frontline workers with information at their fingertips. Store manager fatigue and overload is a real problem. Retailers are becoming reliant on their store managers, which ultimately ends up becoming a huge bottleneck, causing both customer friction and lack of customer satisfaction. What if we could take all of that away? not only would your staff be happier and morale would be up, but it would also empower your frontline workers to provide better support to in-store shoppers.
There's this amazing diagram from 1970 that actually outlines the relationship between the computer and the human, and where the best things happen and is where we appropriately rely on the computer, right? We allow the computer to compensate for our weaknesses and lean into our strengths. And the greatest thing about the AI is that we can actually choose. It's like our co-pilot. What is our weakness? What is that? I call it dull, dirty, and dangerous, right? What is it that's something that we don't want to do that we can outsource to the computer? And the key here in the AI is that we find that there's mistrust in the AI and the under-reliance on the AI, then you don't get great results. If you're over-relying and you're not thinking about it as a human-led activity, right, human-led technology powered, the results are also not great.
We're seeing some great value for the employer and the employee as they're implementing AI across their organization, particularly for the employer when we're seeing value for marketing and brand teams, being able to now add in social media and consumer sentiment into some of their decision making. We're also seeing AI being used intelligently for task management, to help with workflow, to take away some of the mundane tasks that are repeatable, that can be done by AI really effectively, which allows creative teams to really be at the forefront of dynamic product development, which is pretty integral for retailers as they're looking to get competitive advantage.
There's the management of the workforce, and then there's productivity. First of all, with management, you're able to really optimize scheduling, for example. And with that, it just makes things a little easier, and there's cost savings there. But there's also employers try to track their employees. And when you're tracking employees, that means you're using a lot of data pertaining to the employees. What I would, flag is think about complying with workplace privacy laws. If you're going to be deploying solutions that use biometrics, my recommendation would be to make sure you're complying with those laws implicating biometrics and surveillance.
One of the ways that AI can impact what's happening from an omni-channel perspective is how do you combine that total view of the customer and leverage that at each part of your channel? If somebody's shopping online, how do you leverage what they've bought in the store as a way of making offers to what they're buying online? At the same time, how do you, at the store level, use what they've purchased online to help influence sales at the point of purchase in the store? When those are put together with that comprehensive view of the customer, you see a significant impact on increased sales. We've seen as high as 25% increase in ticket because that one view of the customer, the ability to use that data at the point of decision increases the likelihood that that consumer is going to make a purchase at that particular time. Yeah, this is the elephant in the room for most retailers today, is how that data privacy, how do I keep my data secure and still take advantage of these AI tools that are out there? And thankfully, we're making huge improvements very, very fast to whether it's cloud providers that are able to provide a private cloud, or whether models that are general models can be brought down into your tenant and used only there, leveraging the generative information and the generative talent applied to your data only, but all secure within your walls. These are the kind of things that most retailers are dealing with right now. And it's one of the reasons we haven't seen the huge uptick in AI adoption just yet, is most retailers are still trying to figure out what is the right way to go about this? Where's the right way to store our data? Let's go through proof of concept with these different generative AI engines and to see if we have any data leakage. Are we seeing anything going outside of the network there so that we can leverage this data properly and securely in our operations? And that's pretty critical when you're talking about the CFO, because if data gets out, that can impact stock price and thus overall impact the view of the consumer as well as the markets about your company.
I think this is really an interesting area within retail in terms of being able to streamline operations and leveraging AI for this. And the reason for that is currently retailers really have to rely on data scientists to help provide complex analysis when it comes to either customer shopping habits, inventory habits, or figuring out, the value of a promotion. A lot of times that work today is done by data scientists, and retailers don't have a large staff of data scientists. So what ends up happening is when you're strategically trying to figure out the results, you could be in a waiting period for a long time. And then at that point, the information you get back, you can't really do anything with it. However, with AI, they'll be able to have more people who have it at their fingertips because a lot of that analysis can be automated, and thus your category teams and your strategic teams will be able to access it without having to go through data scientists.
AI integration within retail systems streamline operations and decision-making processes by enabling retailers to collect, analyze, and act on large amounts of data faster and more accurately. Some examples of AI integration within retail systems are the following. AI can integrate with point-of-sale systems, e-commerce platforms, and loyalty programs to capture and process customer data, such as purchase history, preferences, and feedback, to provide personalized offers, recommendations, and incentives. AI can integrate with enterprise resource planning systems, warehouse management systems, and logistics systems to track and optimize inventory, supply chain, and delivery to reduce waste, errors, and delays. AI can integrate with business intelligence systems, marketing systems, and social media platforms to generate and visualize insights, trends, and forecasts, and support strategic planning, budgeting, and marketing campaigns. By integrating AI with retail systems, retailers can enhance their operational efficiency, agility, performance to make smarter and faster decisions.
Streamlining is a word that can mean different things to different people. I'm going to define it thus. We're in a unique time when technology is capable of automating operations to a certain threshold with the risk and everything taken into account, but also augmenting decision-making where human intervention is required. It's important to be clear about this. AI is not a tool for automating everything which humans do. It is an augmentation tool at the end of the day. When we use this in the decision-making process, examples in the retail industry can include helping retailers integrate and analyze data from multiple sources, such as sales, inventory, customer channels, market trends, all of this to generate actionable insights and recommendations. It's worth pointing out that the retail industry across all points of contact with customers generates up to 60 petabytes of information per hour. AI can help retailers assimilate all this information for actionable insights. It can also provide real-time and predictive analytics, scenario planning, and simulation tools enabling faster and smarter decisions. Most importantly, AI can literally take all this data to simulate and create new business models, products, and services, driving innovation and differentiation.
Challenges based on whether you're a small retailer or a large retailer. When you're a smaller retailer, you have a lot better control over your IT and what's happening in your organization. And thus you don't worry so much about the shadow IT, which is that system that the marketing person brings in or somebody in HR brings in that wasn't under the CIO or CISO approval there, and then potentially introduce risk into the operations. So those are some of the big challenges. You've got to be looking at cost and value here when it comes to AI. And this is a particular concern. The typical query, an AI query, is 10 times that of a traditional database query. And so it's very, very quickly to increase scale of cost and understanding exactly what is the value that we're benefiting from here. Is it worth the cost that we're spending? That can quickly get out of hand. And many of the software models are going to have to change. It's going to be part license, part utility. And as a result, the usage is going to drive what's happening in terms of your cost as an organization. And that is a big concern that the CIO and the CFO have to worry about. The budget allocations, where's that money coming from? Is it all coming out of the IT budget to pay for all of these systems? Are we going to have a core system there? It's my firm belief that generally you're going to see the big ERP providers and the software providers that are in there today are going to be the systems of record for AI use within the organizations. It'll be AI through those systems that we're going to see in most organizations. Integration with your existing systems, legacy systems, your what they call legacy debt, IT debt. Those are big problems that you have to overcome. As Jensen Huang of NVIDIA said, there's about $2 trillion worth of data centers that have to be upgraded to take advantage of the full data opportunity with AI. Well, each retailer has the same issues. They've got old systems that may need to be updated to take advantage of AI. That is over and above the cost of just the AI systems and solutions as well. Then you've got your data management and data cleanliness. This is a huge area of concern. That is the engine that makes all of this AI work, is that data has to be clean, abundant, and tagged and accurate. And when that happens, you get wonderful results. When there's any corruption in that, that is the area where you can have big problems. So the consideration for CIOs and CFOs is just incredible, relentless focus on data quality that are going into these systems that you're using. Another area is being able to attract talent that is knowledgeable about AI to your organization, as well as retain that talent. Let's face it, retail is not the sexiest of all of the segments that a talented AI engineer could work in. And you've got to be able to attract those people and retain those people in your organization. And this just is not for the development or in the IT shop. It's also for the supporting of that technology in the field. You have to have people that are knowledgeable about supporting it. And that means you may not be able to do this all alone. You may need third-party partners to come alongside of you to provide this talent, whether it's in support or whether it's in development, whether it's key vendors or key consulting organizations that are going to be a big part of your team, unless you have these strategic partnerships as a result. Some of the other things is the supply chain and inventory management is going to be the single biggest area of improvement. And so the opportunities are massive in that area of efficiencies for your organization. If you have to start in one place, I would start there. The reason for that is your data is cleaner and you can control it a lot more than you can, say, in marketing data or other pieces of data coming in from other sources. When it's talking about your supply chain, you not only get the benefits, but it's often where you have the best data where you can apply AI for those things. And then finally, you've got to keep the customer in mind. As a CIO or CFO, your focus is heavily on controls and accuracy and decision-making and things like that. But at the end of the day, the customer has to be paramount. And so you've always got to filter everything through that view of how do we better support our customers in our stores and online to take advantage of this new technology and do so that increases that relationship with the customer and thus ultimately increases sales.
Just in my previous life, one of the biggest challenges I've seen in technology and software for a retailer is the usage in rolling it out, because change is not easy for a lot of people. And so I think when it comes to the executive CFOs or CIOs trying to figure out what makes the most sense, it's looking at their organization and determining what area of the company is ready for it. However, just because you reduce it, is that group ready to take on more strategic work versus picking other areas of the company where you know that they're ready and they're eager to be able to leverage new technologies to improve the business?
Some key considerations for CFOs and CIOs when they're looking into adopting these new technologies are the following. Business objectives is first and foremost, and the outcomes that they want to achieve with AI, such as increasing sales, reducing cost, improving customer loyalty, and enhancing employee experience. They should consider the current state and the readiness of their IT infrastructure, data quality and security, and any gaps and challenges that they need to address. Budget and resources that they have available for AI implementations, maintenance, scaling, and the expected return on investment and value creation. Ethical and legal implications and analysis of using AI, such as data privacy, bias, and accountability, and best practices and standards that they need to follow. And finally, the skills and capabilities that they need to develop and acquire for their workforce, both technical and also non-technical resources, and as well as ongoing training and support that they need to provide.
We're actually in a stage with AI where the euphoria of experimentation is now slowly evolving into delivery of actual business transformation. And with that comes pressure. The traditional adage among CFOs and CIOs is value is not value unless there are hard dollars behind it. Therefore, there's always the temptation to dismiss some things like productivity gains and the urge to just wait and see until you get a business case from your peers or others in the industry. I would say that the question that should be asked is not a wait and see or to dismiss productivity gains, but to ask the question, what can the business do with this productivity gain? What can the business do with such a surge? Because I can guarantee there is no business in the world that says, hey, we have enough time in the world, we don't have any tasks on our plate, all right? So my first view is that CFOs and CIOs align your vision and goals with the business strategy and prioritize use cases and outcomes that can deliver the most value and impact. For example, yes, AI could drive productivity, but could that mean more micro-marketing campaigns? If you can do more micro-marketing campaigns, we know that marketing campaigns directly correlate to more sales and hard dollars. Once again, this is answering the question how you would enable this productivity. The second thing I would say is please adopt a data-driven and agile approach to AI adoption. You may create models for ROIs and business cases, but a model is just that. It's a model. Fail fast, build, test, learn, and continue the crawl, walk, run. The crawl, walk, run tenet has never been more sacred than before.
So I've lost count of the amount of times customers have come to me and said the exact terms of, we want AI. And my response is the same every single time. What does this even mean? Just because there's this fancy, big, shiny new technology doesn't mean you should throw around huge investment into this without taking a step back and looking from left to right within your business, asking how can we drive business outcomes? IDC did a recent study stating that for every dollar invested, $3.40 will be returned in the ROI, which shows again that the ROI is there, but then the real question becomes, how do I make that reality? And it isn't just a switch of a button. So the approach that we're seeing and we're working with clients is breaking down their AI strategy into pillars, which is segmented leveraging the three horizons approach. This then turns the focus onto use cases and understanding time to value and the amount of effort needed to make this a reality. So if we look at the first stage of the three horizons approach, we really see this as a crawl phase. So look at optimizing your core business operations or functions. So think product development, onboarding, training. What would I do if there were three more of me? Then if you move to the second phase, which would be really focused on how do we improve our market position, this is thinking about improving time to value for clients, reducing shrink wrap, reducing wait times or frictions the clients see as they go into the store. And then the third phase, which we see as the kind of the North Star, is how do I leverage AI to change my market position? So thinking about this, you're thinking about how do I create new revenue streams and products as a result of these use cases that we're thinking about?
I think, first of all, we should all have kind of a little bit of grace for ourselves, right? We're all grappling with this. Everybody's thinking about, where do I start? Am I behind? I think the most important thing is to start and think about what is your business strategy and how can AI help with that business strategy? How can you empower your people? Where are the small wins? That's the great thing about also the generative AI, is that we're all using it in our personal life. We're very familiar about it, but it requires change management and different behavior. Where can we learn? How can we enable, whether it's a, kind of a chat bot that is provided for employees where they're asking about the policies, right? Whether it's a frontline worker experience where we're learning as much from what kind of questions they're asking and learning where there's gaps in our data or store operating procedures, right? I think starting and being agile, finding those small wins, but then most importantly, I think thinking about how do you empower your organization. That change management is always underappreciated with any technology rollout, my personal opinion, but with the AI, I think we will tend to think that it's much more natural because we're using it in our personal life. But when it comes to it using in the business processes, one cannot underestimate kind of thinking about change. How do we help people be most productive? How do we help them to leverage it in a way that allows them? It's not just about saving time, right? If we save 14 minutes a day, what do we do with that 14 minutes? Does it bring us more joy because now we feel like we have a better career as a frontline associate and we're learning something and we're doing things that we love more and therefore the customer experience is much better? That's a win, right? It's not per se 14 minutes that we've saved.
CFOs and CIOs have a ton of opportunity and a lot to weed through as they start to build their strategies and how generative AI will be used within their own departments and teams, but also within the organization as a whole. And I think together, really, they look at it from a strategic standpoint. They have to look at what are the opportunities to either grow the top line or impact and reduce operational costs and drive more efficiencies in the business using these tools. And in doing that, start to kind of build a list or a factory or a center of excellence to intake all these ideas from different parts of the business, evaluate the cost and the impact to the business, the time to develop and roll them out, and prioritize projects based on that and based on those that'll have the biggest impact to the business. So the key is learn and get people to understand across the organization what generative AI is, how it works, get comfortable with it, build that muscle. And it's the people across all of these departments in the business that will be able to bring ideas on how these tools can help them reach their individual business goals more efficiently and effectively and more quickly. And then the leaders of these organizations, those allocating capital, those investing from a technology standpoint, can start to prioritize those projects based on their return to the business.